In this topic, we're going to cover Py2exe. A limitation of our script so far is that they need a Python interpreter in order to run. And depending on what we are doing, not just the basic interpreter either, but a bunch of other modules too, such as those that we have been installing with pip. Py2exe is a library which turns Python programs into packages that can be run on other Windows computers without needing to first install Python on those computers. Basically, we can leverage Py2exe to create executable files, which we can then copy over and execute on Windows systems which don't already have Python installed. And let's start by first installing the package pip install Py2exe. And now that it's installed, we can write a simple program which we want to package up to be an executable. So we might want to say print packed Py2exe demo.py, and we can execute this. However, if we tried to execute this on a Windows machine which didn't have Python installed, and we weren't able to install Python ourselves, then this script would fail because Windows wouldn't natively know how to execute it. And so this is where Py2exe steps in. And behind the scenes, Py2exe just extends another module, distutils, with a new command. And distutils is just a module that installs something, usually a Python module. And so in order to use Py2exe, we next need to create another script which tells Py2exe how we want our program to be bundled up as an executable. So let's create another file. And we only really need to reference setup from distutils core in order for Py2exe to work. So let's first do that. From distutils.core import setup. We can save this. Demo setup.py. And now that's loaded, we can also import Py2exe. And the next thing we need to do is call setup and tell it the entry point that we want, which in our case is our hack script, which we created just a moment ago. So let's do that. Setup equals, and we want to use a console application and not a Windows GUI application here. And we call this Py2exe demo.py. And now we can execute this. So we can execute Python demo setup.py Py2exe. Fix this typo here. And now that this is executed, we can navigate to this directory. And we can see a new directory here, dist. And this distribution folder contains the executable and all the files needed to run the executable. And we can execute this now, dist Py2exe demo.exe. Change directory first. And we can see our expected output here of hacked. And if we wanted to bundle up these files and make our distribution even easier, we can also pass in some additional parameters to the setup function. So let's first rename this dist original. And now we can modify our setup function here. And we can include some additional options. We can specify bundle files to be 1. We can specify compressed to be true. And bundle files here will bundle everything, including the Python interpreter. We can also specify the script. Py2exe demo. We can specify zip file to be none. Add our commas. And with zip file set to none here, the files will be bundled within the executable. And now we can save and execute this. And now we can compare the difference in the file output. So we can compare dist original with our new distribution. And we can see that this new distribution is significantly smaller than our original. And we can verify this still works by executing it. And we can see our expected output here of hacked. It's important to note, however, that Py2exe isn't really a bundle installer. However, by passing bundle files and compressed here, we can still bundle this into a smaller number of files, which can make distribution much easier. At the end of the day, if you want to run Python scripts on a Windows system which doesn't have Python installed, and you don't want to or you can't install Python, Py2exe can help you to still be able to execute your scripts on that machine. But that's it for now, and in the next lesson, we are going to cover sockets.